I think it's been interesting, the recent developments with the two recent issuers, and there have been a couple other issuers that have announced that they're going to put out chip cards into the U.S. marketplace. But I think that needs to be separated from the notion that that means that there's any sort of potential market movement towards a full EMV adoption within the U.S. market. So specifically, those issuers have said, we have travelers that go to chip markets, notably Europe, on a regular basis. And when they do, they're at times experiencing some acceptance issues with those magnetic stripe cards. So they're serving a specific market purpose with a very minority or subset of their card portfolio population. So that's very different from saying it's the right time now for the US market to move to chip. So when you look at it from that context, is some of the work that is being done supportive of a potential move to the future? Well, it's certainly enhancing the sort of conversations that are being had. And if you look at some of the vendor community that is taking part in these particular adoptions, then it plays a role within the environment to help elevate not only education, but get some of that plumbing work done. And I'll use not only those US examples, but the fact that Canada and other markets are migrating. Many of the vendors, the processors, are global in nature, so they've been doing a lot of the upgrading of systems and things like that to get to a place where not only European, Canada, Latin America countries and markets are being served by this technology, but also now those US customers could potentially say, hey, our processor is already ready to go with chips. So, you know, in certain aspects, some of the heavy lifting has been done, but that shouldn't, you know, underlie any of the, you know, belief that this still isn't a hugely complex undertaking. And the business drivers, as with anything else, have to be there for the market. MasterCard's primary smart card initiatives are really to make the payment system more reliable, more secure, more efficient for all of the participants within the payments ecosystem. So, you know, we've been driving forces behind the chip adoption within Europe, within Canada, Asia Pacific, Latin America. And once those market adoptions take place, then, you know, I spoke previously about, to do those adoptions, the market or the business drivers had to be in place, the proper economics had to be in place. But once those migrations take place, then the question becomes, okay, we've made this investment, we now are hopefully seeing reduced fraud, but what else can we do with this technology? It's a very secure technology, it's a very flexible technology. So a couple of the things, you know, as you secure the card present environment, so face-to-face, you go to a retail shopping environment, you pay with your card. You know, the fraudsters say, where can we go to next? And they look at e-commerce as a potential, you know, card not present, what can chip do? Well, it's often been said card not present fraud doesn't really have an answer from chip, and that's not necessarily true. In fact, there's a device, and there are something like 30 million of these within the European marketplace that are called CAP readers, or chip authentication programs. So in essence, you insert your chip card into this device, you enter your PIN, 4-digit PIN, the same one that you would at a point of sale transaction. You press the OK button, and it generates a one-time dynamic code that can be used to enter into an e-banking system, so for online banking, doing money transfers, those sorts of things, or for doing e-commerce shopping. So instead of just having a static password that could potentially be phished or skimmed, you now have a dynamic token. If somebody intercepts that, it's unusable for the next transaction, can't be replayed. And in fact, we even have sort of the version 2 of this now, which is called the display card. So it almost combines that payment card with the CAP reader in one specific device. So if you press the bottom button on this, there's a little display on the top, and it generates that one-time password. So some of the feedback we've gotten from customers is, this is nice, but cardholders don't like to carry an extra piece of equipment around with them all the time. So this incorporates the two technologies together. So that's on the, specifically on the e-commerce side of things, but it's also, you know, transit, any market that you go to that's got a major transit system, and a couple that we've been working with recently are Transport for London and the MTA within the New York and the New Jersey Transit Authority. Those sorts of things with the contactless technology, so PayPass that we've got embedded within these cards, can now do a transaction where you simply tap your card to get onto the transit system, and that that's it. You don't have to queue up and wait for a pass, a token, those sorts of things. So those sorts of technology advances are really helping those that have made the investments in chip now realize new opportunities, new business drivers that they can utilize that technology for.